Oh yeah, do the ghost light. So, been working a swing shift the last couple of weeks, getting all the new hires trained up. But I'll be working tonight, which means you'll have a special appearance from Vince. Right now we're working on changing all 4 wing de-ice boots on one of our aircraft. Anyways, I'm gonna hit you with a time lapse. We'll catch up when Vince shows up. Saw dude. That's Vince taxiing a plane down. Go do a little interview with him. We gotta have a quick interview. Those guys are all set up. They're doing their thing. We're gonna have a little interview with Vince about being a lead since he was promoted. How many months ago?
Like maybe a month and a half or a month. Yeah, a month and a half.
A month and a half ago. How's it changed from being a tech to a lead? What's
it's
different?
Huge. It's like when you're just a mechanic, you're only working on like a corner of a puzzle. You know, like the top left corner. But when you're a lead, you see the whole puzzle, and then you have to get your guys to finish their puzzles and meet right in the middle at the same time, and it's really hard to do that every single day. And sometimes the puzzle gets bigger and bigger, you know, the workload gets bigger. And on top of that, we have new hires, which basically means I have to sacrifice one of my experienced technicians to train the new hire. So every additional new hire is almost like -1 to my crew.
Yeah, it is.
Until, you know, 3 weeks later they get trained.
Until they're up to speed, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we make an investment on training the guys because they're not much use to us until they're trained. How about stress? How is your stress when you first started and now, and like how do you manage that?
Well, when I first started, I was really stressed out. There's just so much going on. You know, I'm not usually the type of guy who's really organized and taking notes on a notepad and keeping it with me, but ever since I became a lead, I keep a notepad on me every time. I keep my pen just so I don't forget, because there's always something going on, and you'll get pulled away from something and you can't forget what you were doing. Yeah.
Basically, every night there's 5 to 10 guys on Vince's crew.
Yeah.
And there's, of those 5 to 10, at least 4 of them are new hires.
Yeah.
And then there's usually 4 aircraft in Hawthorne that he's responsible for, and 2 in Burbank. So 6 aircraft. So half of our fleet is getting worked on by Vince and his crew in a 12-hour period from 6:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. And so if something goes wrong with any of those planes during that time, we're going to miss flights.
Yep. So I basically have to delegate the tasks as how I see fit, you know, in accordance with the workload. It's contingent, you know. It's like if we have a light workload, I'll use that day for a training day. If the workload is very heavy, then, you know, I'll split out the work among whoever I think is best at it, which is another thing about a lead. You have to really know your crew, and you have to be very close with them, because you have to know how they work, you have to know their personality, you know, how they're feeling that day.
Yeah, that's a big piece of it. Aside from delegating work and understanding the workload, he needs to be in tune with, is his crew well rested? Is anybody having, like, personality clashes?
Yep. Or is anyone having trouble at home? Because if he is and his mind is not stable, then I have to put him on a lighter task.
And if you thought that wasn't enough responsibility for being the lead, the 100-hour inspection, which pretty much every night there's at a minimum 100-hour inspection, as well as a bunch of other maintenance items. Vince is responsible for signing that 100-hour off. So each technician has individual work cards that they sign off, but at the end of the night, it's his signature, or I should say in the morning when that plane goes and flies, it's his signature that's giving it a clean bill of health.
It's a lot to think about, and it tires you out. But I deal with the stress by, like, when I first started, if you've become a lead for the very first time in your life, you feel like it's up to you to fix everything. But after a while, you just have to realize what you can do, what you can handle.
And you got to trust your guys.
And
that was my biggest issue when I was a new lead, is I had worked with all these guys, but it was a completely different level of trust. You know, I have to be able to completely step away and trust that Vince is going to work on the engine and he's going to do it safely. And I'll go back and look over his work, but I'm not going to be able to redo everything he did. So I need to trust that he's doing it. And that was the biggest way I was able to get rid of the stress. I was crazy stressed for the first probably month of being a lead, and then our DOM kind of talked to me about it. Was like, look, man, you gotta stop taking the work home with you.
That's what he told me too.
And yeah, start trusting your guys. So
I remember for the first maybe 2 weeks, I was having nightmares about
that's terrible.
about my shift and like planes breaking down. And another thing too, you know, just because the workload is light doesn't mean the workload is going to stay light, because there's always something that's going to go wrong. Every single night that we've had something go wrong.
Not even go wrong, but like you could be doing a clean inspection and find something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
So the workload is dynamic. It's changing.
That's what I mean. And yeah, so it's stressful. You got to deal with all these things and take it as it comes. You have to decide on what you're gonna do. You can't focus too much on the problem. You have to find a solution quick.
Yeah, during the day we have a lot of support. So if I'm ever like on the day there's an issue that I've never seen before, there's a million people there I can ask, including our DOM. When something comes up at 2 a.m. that Vince has never seen before, he needs to figure it out. And
I have to,
the best decision, the safest decision, is it ground the aircraft? Is it remove a component, replace it with a new one? But yeah, that's all his decision making.
Yep. So much fun.
You're doing a good job. I knew you would. Vince is only 23, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
And actually, I think everybody who is on your crew is older than you.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah,
right?
everyone's older than me.
Yeah. There's what?
So that's another that's another thing. You have to like earn their respect.
You have to earn their respect. Yeah, they're all older than him.
Yeah.
Many of them have more experience than him.
Yeah.
And he's in charge, and it's because he's the best guy for the job. He's got the most experience on the PC-12, and he's worked at Surf Air the longest.
I'm always on the floor with my crew. You know, I first delegate the work, and then I do a task, but I also float around to make sure everyone's okay, everyone's feeling okay. And then there comes the discipline part of it, like when my crew starts that's the worst. I hate doing that. Like when they start slacking or.
Because we're all really tight.
Yeah.
It sucks to have.
It's almost like scolding a friend.
Yeah, because they're our friends.
And you can't be their friend either. It's like you have to be like a friend, but also a boss. It's so weird. But there's a balance that you have to find. You know, you can't be too bossy and micromanaging, but you also can't be too friendly and right on.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys. This is Eric. He's a new hire at Surf Air. How long have you been working here?
About a little over a month.
A little over a month.
Yeah.
So what's it like working at Surf Air?
I love it. It's on-the-job training. I like the 4 days on, 3 days off. Pay's good. People's good. Planes are good. My lead's good.
Yeah. What's the hardest thing you've done at Surf Air as a mechanic?
Probably the hardest thing so far is probably Tech 1.
Tech 1 if you guys watched the 100-hour video, you actually know, but Tech 1 is doing all the operational checks of the aircraft, so there's a lot of steps in the manual you got to follow. And what did you do before working at Surf Air?
I worked at Compass Airlines.
What makes Surf Air better than Compass?
Well, pretty much Compass had no training. Management was not good. Some of the people weren't good. And here's just a totally different world. So it's definitely a new experience. I feel like I'm starting fresh. Yeah, so that's a good thing. Getting better experience here than over there. So yeah.
It's laid back here, but you get to do everything. Where like an airline like Compass, you just stuck to one thing.
One thing, right.
You want to give a shout out? You got a shout out for anybody?
Yeah, shout out to my mom.
We'll see if we can get an interview in with the parts guy.
All right.
Let's see.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. We're in the parts room. This is Matt.
Hey, what's going on?
He's our parts guy.
AKA / flying parts.
Flying parts. He's a pilot too. He was hired to fly at Surf Air and just spending a little bit of time in the parts room, getting to know the whole company layout. Anyway, so what goes on in the parts room?
So a whole lot goes in the parts room, mainly for the Pilatus PC-12 that we're dealing with for Surf Air. There's a lot of components and a lot of parts, and mind you, being in this field and working this, it's not easy and it's not cheap. There's any little part that you can see, just buy some random part right now. Just these little nuts, you can see, roughly, probably about, for about 20 of them, maybe about $5. That's expensive. Yeah. And it just keeps going more and more and more.
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're doing the de-ice boot change tonight. We're changing 4 de-ice boots, roughly $4,500 each.
Yeah, about 4,500 each. So for a full set, talking everything all together, you're looking about 20K.
So Matt, what would you say is the hardest part of your job?
I'd have to say making sure that the mechanics give me the right part number, and that I also make sure that I order the right part number on time. The hardest part also is mainly working anywhere from 10 to 12-hour days, and sometimes even past that. As you can tell, I'm tired right now. I've been here since 7, and it is 8:30. So yeah, I'm tired.
It's time to go home, I think.
Oh yeah, it's time to go home.
Was that, a 13-hour day?
Almost. You guys take care.
So we were talking about changing the de-ice boots. This is the leading edge of the wing, and normally there's a black rubber and fabric de-ice boot on here. As you can see right now, it's just bare metal with some primer. We've already removed this de-ice boot. Right now the guys are working on removing the other ones. We'll go check that out. Lots of chemicals. So you guys can tell how excited everybody gets about working on de-ice boots. This is what the background for the maintenance computer is. Yeah, it's not our favorite job. This is Bob.
How you doing?
He's,
How you doing?
Well, tell us what you do at Surf Air. And
Basically, we build the flight plans. Actually, we just file the flight plans. We also brief on weather, or gather weather, and we track the flights. As the flights end, they send their log sheets in, and we kind of record the times and landings and all that stuff. And then that's what we basically do. And we just keep tracking them. And right now, we have about, I believe, 7 flights airborne now. We're tracking them on Flight Tracker. So I'm just waiting for those guys to come in. As soon as they send their logs in, and when they're all here, we go home. So I'm here. My shift starts around 1:30 to 10:30, and I believe it's about 30 flights. And total, we do a lot more, but on my shift alone, it's about 30 flights. And again, we do all the departures and the landings and all the movements, and record those names. And then we also do the crew list as well, so I can prep the crew list for the next day's flights. And so that's, it's time consuming, but it definitely keeps the ball rolling, and time goes by fast. We do some overtime, but you don't really notice it because it goes by fast.
That's the same way in maintenance. Like,
Yeah,
we're
I'm
always
sure.
working. So
Yeah, definitely always working. I mean, it's I would describe that when it's a good day and everything's going smooth, it's probably the best job you'll ever have. When we have problems, it can get a little dicey, but we have the people and the staff is always here supportive, so we get things done. So,
Yeah.
but it's still a
basically,
job.
you guys are like the core of the operations.
Yeah,
center,
because
so
everyone contacts us. If they need information, if maintenance needs us, they call us, or we need them, and the pilots kind of relay information through us. Because if there's any kind of serious situation with the aircraft, dispatch needs to know. So they come through us, and then they start talking to maintenance.
What would you say is your favorite part about working for Surf Air?
Wow. For me, it's about, because as a pilot, I love the whole weather briefing, or just reading weather, doing the flight planning. You see all the different routes that we do. So you definitely feel like you're staying on top of it. I mean, it's just interesting. It encourages me to fly more. But I think that's what I like the most about it, is really like laying out the flight plan and building the flight plans and seeing the routes and briefing the weather and making sure the pilots have what they need and just filing it through ATC. So
What's on your side?
So you're gonna get Brian in the background.
Yeah, he'll be in there. Yeah. Yeah.
He's one of our duty managers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Brian, you want to explain what it's like to be a duty manager? Everybody, this is Brian. He's a duty manager at Surf Air. He's going to show us what kind of what you deal with on the day to day.
So basically, I'm the operations center duty manager, which means that I'm in charge of correcting any errors. So let's say an airplane has a maintenance issue, or we have a crew problem of some kind. The duty manager is responsible for finding the best solution to that, which impacts the least amount of our members, so that we can provide the best service to the members that we can. So in order to do that, we've got a couple tools. So here in the center is Merlot. This is a graphical depiction of all the flights that our airplanes are flying. So this is currently showing Friday and Saturday, and you see some flights that are green and yellow. So that's flights that the out time has been put in, but the arrival times don't show up yet. So once the arrival times are in there, that will all be green.
Is that, and because they're en route still, basically?
They're still en route, or just the times haven't been entered.
Sure.
The red lines that you see are some form of maintenance activity.
Yeah, this is actually the de-ice boot we're working on right now.
Yes.
Yep.
Over here on the other side, this is Maverick. This is the screen for today. And basically this is a list of all the flights that we're operating, all the city pairs, the scheduled times that these flights are supposed to leave and arrive. Over here on the far right is the status of the flight. So when a flight is complete, it's marked complete by the flight coordinator, such as Bob. When it's flying, it's marked as flying. So we go through and designate each tail number for each flight during the day. And that tells the crew which airplane they're in. It tells the concierge team which plane to put the passengers on. This is the system that the pilots and the concierges are looking at to see which tail number, which aircraft is which is operating which flight.
And how many flights, like for example on Monday, how many flights are we
There's
going to fly?
probably about 65 flights on Monday. Okay. On the left-hand page is written description. What tail number it is, what flight number, what the city pair is, and then this is in time order. On the screen, and on the center screen, it's broken down by tail number, and it's a pictorial view of what's happening. This is the 10th of March. On the 20th of March, he's going to put out the schedule for April. Now, once the schedule is issued, then Vanessa or Michael, the crew schedulers, are responsible for what's happening in the next 3 days, today, the next 3 days, the next week, in case of sick calls, and then they'll work to fill the flight and assign a crew member to it.
And Brian, what's your favorite part about this job and Surfair as a company?
Well, I have been with Surfair since the beginning, so I mean the fun part for me was really doing all the initial setup and putting the operational systems in place, putting together the training programs for the flight coordinators. Okay, this is how we're going to run the airplanes. The first question, basically, almost always I ask my flight coordinators after a basic, do they understand weather, is do you like to do puzzles? Because you kind of got to be able to look at this picture and see, okay, where is this airplane and how do I get it someplace else?
Cool. Thanks. That's duty manager in a nutshell.
All right. Bye, y'all.
This is Kendall.
Hello, YouTube.
Rob Herbert, you guys know Rob from the, what was that video, test flight video. They're trying to go home, so I'm not going to keep them for too long, but tell me what do you do for Surfair, Rob?
Well, I fly planes, and Kendall here I think also flies planes.
Yes, we both point our planes in the right direction for Surfair.
Okay. Well, that's pretty concise. I think everybody else's job is a lot more complicated.
Now, what is this? This isn't a you versus us.
Before you go, why do you like flying at Surfair? Why would you fly here over somewhere else?
It's a Pilatus, man. Why can't you? I mean, what is there not to enjoy about a Pilatus?
The Pilatus, the culture, the camaraderie here.
This guy.
Good friends, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fun here.
Guys, this is Mark.
So James?
He's on YouTube. What do you do for Surfair?
Well, I'm the AC cleaner.
Okay.
Wash planes.
So yeah, Mark's an aircraft cleaner.
Yes, I am.
He works hard every night, cleans these planes, keep them looking beautiful for the members. What do you like about working at Surfair, or do you not like working here? What's your favorite part about working for
Surfair is
Surfair?
pretty cool. I like it. At first, it was pretty hard because it's like nonstop cleaning and nonstop scrubbing for 8 hours straight. But I got used to it, and by the looks of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it shows. It's hard work cleaning
Yeah, it
planes.
is,
Seriously
actually,
hard work, yeah. I'll leave you to it.
All right, brother.
Thanks, Mark. Alright, guys. That video is a little bit different than the other ones, but you got to see Vince.
Yeah.
Got to learn all about working at Surfair and Alright, that's good. Well, maybe use like 2% of it. The parts where I'm talking, obviously.